Hi guys, today I'll be presenting the project I did for EC535. So the embedded device I made here is a combination keyboard mouse, custom USB HID device. And basically what it does is when I connect to my PC, it enumerates as both an HID mouse and an HID keyboard. And so in order to do this, I had to make a custom, what's called report descriptor, which is basically what a USB HID device sends to the PC on enumeration. And it tells the PC how to recognize it, what sorts of functions it has, and basically how the host can expect it to interact. And so I wrote this in STM32 IDE interacting with the USB device middleware provided by STM. And on top of that, I needed a way to control the PC from my device. And so for that, I decided to use this LIS3DSH accelerometer that's on the dev board. And this device is configured over SPI, so I use the hardware abstraction library for this, and that's basically one step above bare metal, so it abstracts writing directly into the configuration registers for the STM32 and gives you functions to interact with the peripherals, like the SPI peripheral. And so using that, I basically created my own driver for this sensor, was able to configure everything including the output data rate, the scaling, the output filtering, in addition to some state machines that I'll talk to you about in a second here. But essentially, this device, when I plug it into my computer, it appears as both a keyboard and a mouse, and I can control the cursor by tilting, and I can left click with this user button, and I can input spaces by tapping. And so I wanted to look into this because I think it has some interesting functionality for custom hardware devices that people can use to interact with their computers and technology, because typical keyboard and mice don't work for everybody or for every application, and how we interact with our hardware is a big part of the user experience. And so I thought this was just an interesting project to get to learn a lot more about the USB protocol, about writing drivers for sensors, and just creating an embedded device that can do a function like this. And I think it has a lot of potential to grow on too. So the state machines that I said I would talk about, this accelerometer basically has these registers where you can input opcodes as nibbles of a byte. So the top nibble is a reset opcode, and the bottom nibble is a next opcode. And so these opcodes can be things like hardware timers, or they can be thresholds that are set in hardware registers. And so doing that, you can do gesture detection. And so I wrote a state machine that generates an interrupt when it's completed, that sends that interrupt to the PC and generates a spacebar input as part of the keyboard report. And so how you do a state machine like that is you first set a quiet period where you don't want the threshold on any axis to go above a certain amount for a certain amount sent by a timer. Then you advance to a next stage where you want it to go above that threshold. And then in the following stage, you want it to drop below that threshold quickly, so a spike. And then when that's completed, it generates an interrupt and fires that spacebar report to the PC. So this is my project, and thank you.